Hi everybody. Uh, my name is Haseeb Younis and I am PhD scholar at University College Cork, Ireland. My area of interest is my major is computer science and my area of interest is artificial intelligence and bioinformatics. So these are the authors. I am a computer scientist. Paul Trust is mathematician and Rosane Minghim is our supervisor. So we are going to present today the understanding high-dimensional spaces through the visual mean employing the multidimensional projections. Multidimensional projections, the content agenda of today's presentation is the introduction, multi-dimension visualization, problem statement, principal component analysis, t-SNE, and LSP. These are the algorithms that we are going to use for the better understanding of mathematics in the visualization, the impact of mathematics in the visualization. To make the mathematics student learn the impact of their equations, they change the equations and how they impact the in the real world, in the visualization of different tasks. Multidimensional projections are useful for visualization high-dimensional data to identifying the features and clusters. As you know, there are everything in the world of computer science and in the real world are better representing by the visualizations. There are different kind of visualization that are used for different kind of problems. So it gives us a clear information about the problem that we cannot extract from the raw material, raw data, and it is very much difficult for us to analyze the things. As we know about the DNA sequences, we cannot find the patterns, chain mutations, reasons behind disease without the visualization. So visualization is important. A dataset that the DNA length is normally billion and trillions of characters. So it has huge impact and huge dimensions that are difficult to visualize. So what we do here, we reduce the dimensions. We reduce the dimensions and try to fit the data in the dimensions to visualize them better. Normally, there are three kind of visual, four or five dimensions that we are used. 1D dimension, 2D dimension, 3D, and 4D dimensions. So we reduce the multi-dimensional data to the 2D dimensions so that we can see the data in a better way and analyze the data, that what is going on with the data. So in this paper, we are focusing on the multidimensional projection using the LSP. These are the algorithms t-SNE and their impact behind the mathematical variations that are changing. So multidimensional visualization, if we see here in the one-dimensional visualization, A, B, C, and are the feature maps. So the data is shown in the same rows. The points that are near to each other belong to the same cluster, same group, and the points that are far from each other belong to the another group. And in the 2D visualization, as the x-axis and y-axis, we see that the x-axis is this and y-axis is this where it falls. And if we see that this 2D data, we can see the 2D data in 3D visualization using the MATLAB and the other computer sciences tools. So it makes our work difficult sometimes to understand the relationship between the entities, between the living entities or the any kind of data. So what we do here, applications of multidimensional projection, survey data, health records, biology, medicine, image processing, and all the applications that you name that exist in the world use the multidimensional projection for the better understanding nowadays. And if we talk about the artificial intelligence, these are used for the classification, prediction, feature selection, and other kind of tasks. So the problem statement here is the projection of multidimensional data into 2 dimensions for the better visualization and separation using the dimension reduction techniques. The dimensions will increase as the number of attributes will increase. I think you all are familiar with the number. What are the attributes? So the dimensional reduction is accomplished by sometimes selecting the subsets of the data and analyzing, discarding some features, adding some features, or using the principal component analysis to reduce the dimensions. So first of all, we will see the principal component analysis. Principal component analysis maximize the variance in the dataset and reduce the iteratively that features are common in the dataset, and by reducing these features, it goes to the lower dimensionality of data, and it gives us the principal components, principal features that are important for the prediction, classification, visualization, and the other kind of things. So the principal component analysis projection on the image corral dataset is something like that. If we take images that are of different species, like horses, elephants, dinosaurs, roses, or any object in the world, what it will do, our clustering algorithms will group them in their clusters. Like it will separate the horses, elephants, and the other things. And the data will be shown in the principal component analysis, like the other points you can see at the left hand side. And if we select the proportion of the points, it will show us the data. Here in the images, you can see these are the horses, but there is some elephant. There is one elephant image. So it means that the data is overlapping. So we need some techniques that in the 3D in 3 dimensions, we can rotate the data and see the projections that elephant is here. But when we will show this data in the 2D projections, it will be impossible for us to separate the things in the different ways. Like we cannot separate the horses from the elephant, because this might be due to the greenery that is behind these animals. So we use the t-SNE algorithm to better represent this data. What we do in the t-SNE, we simulate all our entries to you can say air, and we start clustering using the t distribution and other algorithms in the mathematics, and shuffle the data and see by using the distances, we start to close the data objects that belong to the same class, and we repeat until then these are separated. And the t-SNE distribution will look like this. As you can see here, in the principal component analysis, the data was cluttered and merged together. So here, this is easy. These belong to the different classes, like green, you can say the green are dinosaurs, red are roses, uh, yellows are horses, and other objects in the dataset. There are 12 or 13 kind of different kind of objects. So if we select the cluster, these clusters belong to the same class. All are dinosaurs. No other species are there in the clusters. And the important thing here is the Silhouette coefficient that we use to measure the cluster's efficiency. That how much our data is separated, how better our data is separated from the other clusters. So in the principal component analysis, it was 0.05, and but in the t-SNE, it is 0.46. Near to 1 is good, near to 0 is bad. So there is a huge difference between these algorithms. So further we move to the LSP least square projection. This is also a technique. There are 3 steps, major steps involved in this technique. What we do, randomly generate the subsets. We select the center point to measure the distance between the object, and after that we determine the neighborhoods and calculate the distances between them, and start to gather the objects that are similar to each other. It will be look like this, like the PI, as you can see here, the yellow one is the point that we want to measure with the other points. it will draw the points, and it will measure the distance between the other points, and it will collect the point together, the point at a position where these are the same, and it will repulse the other points that are not from the same class. Like it will repulse the horses, it will merge the other species, like it will from the same class, it will merge the same class species into the one class.
That this is the kind of equation that show us converting two dimensions into the three dimension.
No, not into the.
Kind of equation
it is a kind of mathematical equation that is used to measure the distance between the objects.
Just
like yes.
Okay.
Dimension reduction is at the PCA, the first step that I showed you. It converts the 3D dimensions to the 2D dimensions, the data. Okay. The principal component analysis do the things. The other LSP and t-SNE improve the results of PC. Okay. As we can see here, LSP also doesn't mean. Yes. Okay. Focus on the distances to merge them, and to merge the same class, same cluster, same group. And after that, the Silhouette coefficient for this one is 0.28. And if we select the proportion, like this is the whole projection of the data, we select this portion and these are roses. So in this situation, they are not much overlapping, but in principal component analysis, they were overlapping. The data was overlapping. It was very much difficult to separate the classes, separate the groups. So the parameters that we can use that are normally used in mathematics for this kind of algorithms are initial dimensions, target dimensions, like how many features are there, how many classes are there, perplexity, maximum iterations, dissimilarity between the objects, and for the LSP, projection improvement, iterations, fraction of delta, control points, number of neighbors, and dissimilarity. Using these points, using these variations, because these all points are equations, and if we change a little bit in the equation, it has a huge impact on our data set. So to understand the variations, impact of variations in the equation, we draw the projections so that the mathematicians and the computer scientists can understand the impact of variations in the equations on the data set or in the real world. Like, yes.
Can we go back to the roses?
Yes.
What's the relation between the roses and what?
These points are belong to the same classes. Every different color represents the. Sorry.
Did you do it by comparing these photos to these points, or just for illustration?
Our algorithm draw these kind of plots, points, draw points.
So, for example, the yellow rose. How we transform these rows into points?
How we transport? Yes. Actually, yes, I can tell you about it. Behind every images, every kind of data, there are some kind of properties, some kind of features. Using these features, like we can say that the color is red. Color column will be there, and we will see that what is the value of that color. We say the value from 70 to 80 is red for the color. What we will do for the all number of instances, all number of roses, there will be a column in which for the red value there will be 70 to 80 value. We will compare the distances between the values. All the entities, all the rows, all the real world entities that value is from 70 to 80, we will say that this belongs to this class.
My question, there are so many points.